Welcome to Rescue Owners Live Season 2, Episode 2. Super excited to have you with us here live. My name is Kirk. I am your host, and you are on with your favorite co-host, Beth Mote. So get excited. So today, we are going to continue the conversation in regards to business planning for the year. I know we're in week number 2. And so hopefully you were able to do, last week we talked about the SWOT analysis, right? So that is your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So I hope you took time to do your homework and fill in your sheet there, because it is so important to take time to work on your business and not just in your business. Because when you are working in your business on that hamster wheel of death, then you can only do so much before you burn out. And that's a whole big reason why we want you to build a team, by the way. We want you to be able to multiply who you are. And by the way, it takes about 3 to 5 people to match your level of productivity. Believe it or not. You might be a 10-fer. It might take you 10 people to replace your one self. So all that to say is, take time, if you haven't done so already, and walk through, by the way, your personal, not just your business. Because if you're a single owner LLC, you are the business. And when you're healthy, the business is healthy. When you're sick with the C word, can we say this live? I don't even know. The vid. If you're sick with anything, guess what? Your business is sick with that exact same thing. So we want to make sure that your health is first and foremost your priority, because if that's not in check, your wealth will never be, your wealth follows your health 100%. So take time this week. And if you need a sheet, for me to send you a sheet of paper, go ahead and let me know. I will send you, this kind of something that we use here. This is a nice, simple thing. You could even fold it in force, like you're on a piece of paper, and, do the, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in all 4 corners. And I would get 2 pieces of paper, or one, front and back. One's for you, yourself personally, and one's for your business. And so I couldn't encourage you enough to do that, because what gets measured gets accomplished. And if you don't know what your strengths are and how to measure them, if you don't know what your weaknesses are, how to measure them,
well, and you won't know what to look for in other employees, even if a good leader, they know that they're not going to be good at everything. And so they know they need to hire other people who fill in those spots where they're not the best at. And if you don't know where those areas are, or you incorrectly think you know where those areas are, you're never going to be able to fill those gaps. And so it's important not just to do this with yourself, but maybe to take this once you're done and show it to someone else. If you don't have anybody else in your business, maybe that's, your wife or your husband, and saying, hey, do these seem accurate to you? Do you think these are truly the weaknesses and the strengths of my business and of me, to be able to make sure that you're accurately judging your strengths and your weaknesses.
And there it is on the screen, folks. Our email, support@rescuesiteservices.com. If you would like to ask us any questions throughout the week, look, we're here for you. Our mission here for Rescue Owners Live is to help you grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. And so if there's a specific thing, niche, whether you're a CPR instructor, whether you were a gym teacher, a nutrition coach, a firearms instructor, a landscaper. We have all kinds of industries that are in on this call on a weekly. And so if you have a specific question for your specific industry, do not hesitate to ask, because we are 100% invested in our business. And what that means is we are getting top level instructions from mentors, from conferences, from workshops, masterminds, networking. And we're taking what we learn and we're bringing it here and presenting it to you guys for free, 100% free. Like we last year, what did we spend? What was the final tally? Like 43, 44?
Something like that. Yeah, close.
We haven't even, finalized all the numbers from last year. I mean, I got an idea, but as far as the exact number, roughly a little over $40,000 we spent in personal growth for ourselves and our business last year. And what did we do with that? We literally model, mimic, mastered, multiply. I mean,
actually, it'd be a little over 50. I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
now,
it was
but...
at 50? Did we throw some more down?
No, I'm pretty sure that would have all technically been the last year.
Wow. Sure. Okay, so $50,000.
Yeah.
So almost more or right at the average annual salary in the United States.
Yeah.
Is what we personally spent on our personal growth. And guess what? That's not going anywhere. Like the fact that we learn something, whether we sell a company, whether we move to another industry, we're not, by the way. Like don't freak out or anything. Doesn't matter. We have that knowledge now, right?
People can't take that away.
Exactly. No one can take knowledge away from you. And God, man, what was that quote that we heard today from my buddy? Was it Einstein?
Yeah, I think it might have been
Okay,
Einstein.
it was ideas without implementation.
Yeah, are just hallucinations. Something like that.
Maybe Google it, make sure we don't butcher it too badly. But I hope you got the gist of that quote. Ideas are a dime a dozen. And it's great. And ideas are awesome. But guess what? If you have no implementation, if you do not take any action, then it's a hallucination.
Oh, it's Thomas Edison.
We're giving him credit where credit is not due.
Vision without execution is hallucination.
Oh, love that. Yeah, maybe copy that, put it in the chat because I wanna write that in my. Every day I journal, and part of my journaling is writing my goals. First thing. After that, I have all kinds of stuff that I journal, but one of the little sections that I write down is a quote of the day. And that's my quote of the day for today. So can you say that one more time for me? What is it?
Vision without execution is hallucination.
I'll throw it up on the board there. Vision without execution is hallucination, Thomas Edison. So I would highlight, look, we're literally reading a book. I am. Are you about a book a week right now?
Yeah, so far.
Okay, yeah. So about a book a week is our goal every year as far as learning knowledge. And by the way, if you do a quick Google search, you will find out that CEOs on average read roughly 60 or 64 books.
It's a lot.
A year. Okay, that's more than a book a week, by the way. So my goal is just 52. But the average CEO, and if you're the CEO of your business, you're the founder, you're the entrepreneur, that's your title. You need to take your information, your knowledge, your learning seriously, because if you don't take that seriously, people won't take you seriously at all. Because if you don't have the knowledge, guess what? You can easily be taken advantage of. And we see that all the time. So take the time. I mean, I listen to a lot of my books on Audible. I love that platform. If I'm in the shower, if I am driving, if I'm jogging, jogging. I'm not a fast runner. I'll be quite honest. But all that to say is there are times in your day where you're doing a mundane task that you can listen to something and, digest it, which is awesome. And even if you're like, I'm so busy, I can't do it, you need to prioritize it, because that is how important it is. And if you look at my Google Calendar, I mean, it is packed. Now I'm gonna have to bring my calendar next week and show you. So I have a Google Calendar and I have a physical calendar. I like both. Why? Because the Google Calendar keeps me straight as far as giving me text messages and saying, hey,
nice.
Yeah, you got a meeting. By the way, here's a location of the meeting. And by the way, here are the three people that you're meeting with. And then everything's nice in there. Now my physical calendar, it's literally, it's kind of like the the goal schedule versus the actual schedule. So at least how I put it down. So I'll write down all my appointments for the day, but every 15 minutes I'm holding myself accountable for what exactly am I doing every 15 minutes. What gets measured gets accomplished. And if you're not measuring how you're spending your time, you're going to say, oh, I don't have time.
And it's easier to record what you've actually done on a physical calendar too.
Right.
To look back and go, well, this is what I planned, but this is what actually happened.
Right. So another thing that we talk about after the SWOT analysis is an issues list. And you can call it whatever you want to, but things that you need to work on personally or as a business. And literally, I would take another sheet of paper and I would just write down every possible thing that comes to your mind. All the good, the bad, the ugly. Speaking of the good, the bad, the ugly, go Dogs. All right. Georgia brought home the natty. They got the national championship. Congratulations to those boys. That
was a good game.
It was a great game, and it ended with a sack. I mean, come on. Beth is like, I don't care. But look, for those of you who watch football, college football, it was a good game. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was the battle of the kickers for the longest time. I mean, it was almost going to be an only 3-point kick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So like it would have been great if it was only kicks the whole time. That'd be kind of fun to watch. I think it was the first time since 2011 that I'm going on a complete tangent over here. Beth is giving me the look. Since there was not a touchdown scored in the first half of the championship game. That's a little fun fact for you. And you can fact check me out. I think I heard that right. So regardless, there was no touchdown scored in the first half, which is just crazy. And then 3 by Georgia in the last. I mean, they did great. Both very great teams, both very well coached, and guess what? They too have key performance indicators. They too watch film and write down their issues list.
Yeah, they don't.
Every single game.
You don't improve unless you don't.
Right. I mean, you can put your hand over your eyes and your fingers in your ears and pretend they don't exist. But the bottom line is your issues are there whether you realize it or not.
Well, and you should like them, because they're an opportunity for you to get creative and for you to shine and for you to fix things and move forward without those old problems and get new ones.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you're listening to us right now, do me a huge favor and hit that share button, because I guarantee you someone in your network needs to hear what we're talking about tonight, which is annual planning and making sure your business is set up for success for 2022. Do me that favor, share button, like button. And if you really want to go overboard, if you haven't liked Rescue Site Services, whether you're listening on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, go ahead and like that as well. My goodness, you want to throw a 5-star review? We might have a conversation afterwards, just as a personal thank you. So, look, we're doing this for you guys, and we want you to know that we value your time. So we want to fill this up with content and things that you can tangibly take away if you're taking notes, right? The majority of what you hear, you're going to forget if you don't write it down. And that is a known fact, backed up by all the science, real science.
It's best if you can physically write it down. Like, that's great if you're typing on a keyboard. I'm not going to say don't use your laptop. Keyboard sounds so old. On your laptop, on your touchpad, but it's not going to be the same as physically writing it down.
Pretty soon we're just going to be thinking it, and it's going to be coming up on the screen.
That's a little weird.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, I would say the closest you probably can get to that doing electronically would be using like a tablet and writing it with a tablet and the electronic pencils.
Yeah.
But yeah, physically writing it down helps just to make that brain connection a little bit stronger. So highly encourage that.
And not only writing it down, but afterwards,
Reviewing.
like reading it through out loud to someone else, because now, and that's what I do with Beth a lot of times. If she's not on a training that I'm at, what I'll do is I was like, hey, I just want to catch you up. And she's like, okay, cool. And then I'll be like, this is really more for me than for you, because I want to make sure that the information that I just learned is ingrained in me well enough to where I can teach it to someone else. Because when I start going back over my notes, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's what they meant, because I'm taking notes so fast, right? And or it could just be like, I was able to solidify that in my brain. One extra, you're hearing it, now you're writing it down, now you're audibly saying it, speaking it to someone else, and teaching it at the same time. It's an incredible, you're literally making brain waves. I don't know, is that what it's called? Brain waves?
Like, do you mean like channels there?
Channels?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
there's a name for it.
issues list. So you want to write down
Synapses.
every possible thing that you can think of for you personally and for you for your business.
Mhm.
And once you write that down, now you're like, okay, I've been 100% honest with myself in this list. Now let's start to, discuss internally if you're by
Mhm.
yourself, or with a spouse or a significant other if you have a partner. And if you don't have a partner, guess what? Give me a call. I'd love to, have a conversation with you. Well, let's set it up, And so you identify, first of all, what your issues are, then you discuss them, and then you solve the problems.
And it can be good to order them too.
Yeah, I was exactly about to go there. So thank you for bringing that up.
To look through them, and we can tend to, as business owners, sometimes tackle the stuff that either seems easiest or most palatable. And so it's important to go through and really try to sieve through and say, okay, what is truly most important? What will make the biggest impact by me fixing this first? And maybe some of them will be smaller and maybe some will be bigger, but it's important to make sure that you truly do order them in importance. And if necessary, that's the phrase that I'm thinking of, is swallow the frog first.
Big frog first.
Yeah.
So the story behind that is, if you had to, I think it's like a fear factor deal, but like if you had to eat 3 frogs, one was a little small, one's a little medium and ugly, and one's just hideous and huge. If you had to eat all 3 frogs, why don't you eat the biggest one first, just to get it out of the way? Because if you can do that, you can certainly do the medium and the small frog.
Okay. I was thinking more, I guess I never heard that full story behind with it, but
I think it's been told so many different ways too. So
like the analogy they use, I've heard this said many, many times, where if you had a jar and you need to fill it with all this stuff, you got giant rocks, you got medium rocks, you got like pebbles, and then you got sand, you're only going to be able to fill the entire jar if you put the biggest things in first, knock those out right away, then the medium, then the small, and then the tiny minute stuff will still fall in the cracks. But if you do it the other way around, there's no other way that it'll all fit.
Yeah.
So same kind of idea.
It's a great visual too. So if you ever want to, do that yourself with your family or whatnot,
it's a great teaching tool for kids too.
Oh, I mean, we say it's a great teaching tool for kids, but it's great for adults too.
Yeah.
So like, and as an adult, you're showing it to the kids. So it's like, okay, now you've mastered it well enough to, teach it to someone else. And so now it's better ingrained into the brain waves, whatever we called that earlier.
Synapses.
Yeah, but like it's highly important that you order them in importance. And I'll give you a quick little, this is what I did today. These are all my list of things. And it was funny because the very last thing I wrote down is the first thing that got a check mark. So I was just like, I thought that was interesting based off of what we were just talking about, as far as ordering them in importance. Because you could, like, in the morning when I do my executive meeting, I literally sit down and I just throw up on a piece of paper. And what I mean by that is I write down anything and everything I could possibly do today. Everything that, like, if I did this, then X would happen. Like I would get to my next step in my goals financially, professionally, whatever the case may be. Right. And so I just write it all down on a piece of paper, more than I can accomplish in a day, by the way. And next step is to then, prioritize. Okay, this person needs a call first. This person needs a call second. This person needs a call third, and then just work your list.
and truly just go down in the order that you've written, because otherwise there might be ones that have to get done that you don't want to. And so if you leave those, you're most likely going to go, oh, oops, it's 5 o'clock. They're not going to answer anymore. Oops.
So I'm not sure if we have time to go through all these, but I would like to hit some of these. Gina Wickman, EOS, so Entrepreneur Operating System. You can find this on www.eosworldwide.com. I get absolutely I'm the affiliate guy. All right. I love being able to resell stuff to everyone, but I want you to know, like, I'm not an affiliate with these guys. I'm just learning their information, and I want you to, hear it yourself. But also, these are free tools that you can find on their website. And so it's called an organizational checkup. And it gives you a list of questions, and you rank each question 1 to 5, and then you calculate them at the end. So if you need a direct link to this particular organizational checkup, let me know. Our email's in the chat here. You can see it on the screen, support@rescuesiteservices.com. I love that feature, by the way. But question number 1 is, we have a clear vision in writing that has been properly communicated and is shared by everyone in the company. Wow, that's like a heavy hitter, right? Number 1 is, do you have a vision? Because if you don't have a vision, you can't even answer
It's like
this
a
question.
multi-choice question.
Well,
multi-part.
multi-level. Yeah. So and then you would have to grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being probably no, 5 being yes.
And if you have multiple people in your organization, don't show them the vision. If it's written, if you have it written out, don't show them the vision and then go, does everybody agree with this, that this is our vision? Sit them all down. Do not have anything showing the vision statement or the mission statement or any of the core values, and say, hey, I want everyone to write down either what they think or what is, if it's said enough that they should just know it. What is our vision? What is our mission? What are our core values? And then,
well, hold on a second. We haven't got that far yet. We're just talking about vision.
Oh, okay.
Don't get too carried away.
Well, you could do all of them, though, because
Yes,
I think
you
we
can.
hit them all at some point.
We do.
So at some point or another, with all of them, you should have them write them all down, not prompted with what they are, and actually see if they all match.
That is actually one of the first things that I do when I go into a company for consulting. So when we manage other businesses, we manage the sales, operations, marketing, and administration on their behalf, so they can focus on what they do best and whatever that trade or industry is. And so we're able to sit down with them and work through all this for them, with them, to done for them, which is a great thing, because so often, you get services that say, hey, here's everything you need, figure it out. And it's like, oh my gosh, now you're overwhelmed. But how would you like it if someone said, hey, here's everything you need, and by the way, we're taking care of all this for you. All you have to do is X, Y, Z. We got everything for you taken care of. So question number 1 is, we have a clear vision in writing that has been properly communicated and is shared by everyone in the company. Our vision is to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. I say we have a 5 on that. I could be wrong. But no, like, you need to be able to ask that for yourself, your company, your situation. Question number 2, our core values are clear, and we are hiring, reviewing, rewarding, and firing around them. This is so critical. Whether you have 1099 employees, because they're still employees, or W-2 employees, or anywhere in between. I would even say consultants need to be aligned with your core values. All right, so question number 2 is, our core values are clear: inspiration, discipline, accountability, transparency, alignment, and results. Very clear. Those are our 6 core values. Our core values are clear. Yep. And we are hiring, reviewing, rewarding, and firing around those 6 core values. Because when you hire people and they understand on the front end that your core values are those 6 that I just laid out, then they know if they are not being disciplined in a certain area, if they are not tracking things appropriately, such as the accountability aspect, because we measure everything. I mean, you should see our KPIs. Like we have whole Google Docs of those things that we measure on a daily basis, by the way. I mean, I'm writing down every single day how many phone calls I'm doing, how many appointments I'm setting, how many demos and meetings I am actually. So the difference between an appointment and a demo or a meeting is the fact that they show up. Because if you got 100% show up rate, teach me, because no one does. And so that's why I have a whole nother line for that category. So, and then you have, you could track your follow-ups if you wanted to. You can track your emails. You can track your, obviously your deals, your revenue, your average revenue per deal. I mean, there's just so many things, because now I know that if my revenue goal is $500,000 per employee, we have 5 employees. What does that tell me? I need to be doing $2.5 million in order to support that. Now I'm able to reverse engineer, saying, okay, if I need $2.5 million annually, let's divide that out. So
Well, while he's doing that math, like the easiest way for you to track all of this is to have a CRM.
100%.
Because then while we do still use things with Google Docs and tracking that with KPIs and stuff, a nice way to be able to ensure that all those numbers are correct. For example, if maybe you forgot to log everything, or if you have employees and you want to make sure what they're saying are actually correct, you can pull reports and just make it that if you make a call, if you set an appointment, if you close a deal, it must be written in the CRM and it must be tracked that way. That way you can pull reports that daily, weekly, monthly to see exactly how many calls are being made and how many emails are being sent, how many deals are being closed. And it lets you have really key metrics to be able to move forward.
So one thing that we preach all the time is groups of 3. So yourself and 2 other people. So you need to be able to duplicate yourself twice. So if you can put into thirds all the things you as the entrepreneur, the founder, the single business owner is doing, and you got all the things that you need to do, all the things you're doing, all the things that you hate doing, I think is one of them. And so
yeah.
bottom line is you got 3 categories, and the things that it's not doing well. So things that you are doing, things you're not doing well, and things that you need to do that you're not doing. Those are the 3 categories. So basically, you need to hire 2 other people to do, one of those 3, categories for you, so that you can focus 100% on that 1/3 that you do best and that you are doing. You just replicated yourself there. And so your goal, your first foremost goal, is to get to 3 employees. That is your first goal, because you always want to hire in at least 2s, because what that does is if you hire one person, they could be good or bad, but if you hire 2 people, now they're competing against each other, whether they realize it or not.
Well, and you also are given a bit of a contrast as well.
Yes.
Because as much as you're going based off of data, it is easy also to get pulled in by people, either just you like their personality or whatever reason. It's best if you have contrast to be able to look at with 2 separate people. That way, regardless of how you mesh with their personality, whether you have all the same likes or you don't at all, you're able to truly have a contrast of, okay, well, regardless of how I feel towards Ashley, she's doing significantly better than Heather.
Yeah. Are those names specific for anybody?
No, I just pulled them out.
So, and speaking of metrics and numbers, we know that if you're doing $100,000 of revenue, that you have a failing business. And what I mean by a failing business is you are either operating in the negative, meaning you're in debt, or you're break even, which is not a business at all. Once you hit $250,000 per head, now you're looking at roughly 15% profitability. Okay. And so now we're starting to, make some money. And now we could say, hey, I want to bring 2 other people on and show them how I did it so they can do it too. Ideally, we want to hit $500,000 ahead. That's when you're hitting on average, 30% profitability. Okay. So what is that? $75,000. Did I do that right? No, 500,000. So 500,000 times 0.3. Yeah, 150. So $150,000 is going to be probably what you take home as the person, the entrepreneur, doing $500,000 per head. Okay. And so, with that said, if your goal is to have 3 people, that is a $1.5 million business. And so, I did actually do this calculations earlier. So, $1.5 million annually. And this comes into your quarterly goals. Okay. So, every quarter, you should have a revenue goal. You should have all kinds of goals, but one specifically is going to be revenue. And that revenue goal is $375,000 quarterly. And you break that down again, that's $125,000 monthly. Break it down again, 28.8. Well, let's round it up to $29,000 weekly. And then on a daily basis, your sole purpose in life is to figure out how to make $5,769 every single day. And I believe that was a working day. So that's actually 260 days out of a year. Okay, so that is literally 5 times 52, I think.
Is it 52 or 50?
I think I did it by 52.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you can do
maybe
it.
A little
You
bit
can
more
do
than
it.
that.
Yeah, you can do it by 50 if you need 2 weeks off or whatever. But hopefully by this point in time, you have somebody who is 2 people that are working with you. So you've multiplied yourself so that those numbers are still being hit, even if you're off 2 weeks out of the year, 4 weeks out of the year. We can just keep on ratcheting that up as you grow and add more people to the fire.
Well, and the best part about it too is, people go, "Oh, I just want to get to where I can have vacation all the time." Well, A, you're probably going to get bored with that at some point. Most likely anyway. But 2, it doesn't have to be doesn't have to be an either or. It can be maybe I have the ability to travel to Paris now, and not only am I enjoying Paris, but I'm now making business connections in Paris the entire time that I'm there. And I'm setting up with meetings with people that I want to be able to work with. And it gives you a lot more flexibility to start playing with your ways of how you're going to make your vision happen in even faster and bigger ways than when you were one person with your head down, stuck in your house for how many hours a day. Like that's the joke that's going around, or was recently going around on Instagram Reels, where it was like, I quit my 9 to 5 job so that I could work 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw that a lot recently. It just pop up on the Reels. That's very interesting. It's true, because like people don't realize how hard it is and how much has to come together for a business to be successful. Because if you don't have your systems, your processes, procedures, your people, everything working in alignment, and by the way, you don't even know what systems you need. What's the CRM? What does that even stand for? Customer relationship management, KPIs. What does that stand for? Haven't even heard of these things before. You probably, if you were in a sales job, you probably had some measurables, and that's very similar. But guess what? That was just for the sales department. Imagine every single department that you are now in charge of as the business, the leader, the entrepreneur, the founder, the CEO, which, by the way, that title doesn't exist until you hit about $50 million of revenue.
And just an encouraging sort of comment. I saw someone recently also say something to the extent of, a lot of people say, "Oh, 2 to 5 years of my life, like working all the time to build a business that creates future wealth. Oh, that's way too much work." But they're willing to give 40 years of their life or more to working a regular job and making just enough to maybe go on a vacation a year.
Which is sad. I mean, you got to actually think through your priorities. And this is why everyone's not an entrepreneur, is because it's hard. It's not easy.
Well, nothing's guaranteed.
Nothing's guaranteed.
And technically,
your job isn't guaranteed.
Going to a regular paid job technically is not guaranteed either. But there's some stability to if I go in and I stay there for the allotted amount of time and do some work, I'm going to get a paycheck at the end of the week or every 2 weeks. Whereas
Your brain's in neutral. You're going through the motions. You have little to no motivation to do anything
that's not
extra.
always true.
Okay.
But you're getting a little morbid there. But on the other hand, it is a leap of faith to a certain extent to do work as an entrepreneur, because you can be busting your butt literally all day, every day, and not even having a weekend off and maybe not make any money. And so it is so important to have these systems in place, these KPIs, these things that we're going through here. We should keep going down the list. Just because otherwise you can end up spinning your wheels in a lot of things that aren't revenue producing. And so knowing the things that are going to bring value in the short term that will ultimately build a strong business in the long term are so important.
So I saw this pop up on my feed and I reposted it on a story. Elon Musk, never give up. His words. You can be grinding for 4 years with no results, and on the 5th year become the biggest thing on the planet. The power of never giving up is real. Look at, Jeff Bezos with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was literally not profitable for 7 years.
That's a long time.
Imagine being in personal debt for 7 years.
And a lot of it.
And a lot. Yeah. That's a lot going on there. Imagine the stress. Imagine the family dynamics. I mean, obviously he got divorced. I mean, there's a lot of things that, happen there, right? But all that to say is, people don't become entrepreneurs because it's easy at all.
Or even necessarily because it's outright fun.
And honestly,
on the front end anyway.
I think it's sad, the excuse that people are like, oh, I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to be my own boss. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Absolutely stupidest thing I've ever heard. First of all, that means you entered an industry and created a business for the wrong reasons. Number one, and you will never be able to attract good quality people if that was your character or the person your motivation. This is not going to happen. People are attracted to you based off your vision. Look at Elon Musk. I'm going to Mars. All right. That's a vision. That is a massive vision. And people are attracted to that because guess what? He is going to make it happen. And he believes it. And he knows he's going to make it happen. It's a matter of time. And people are jumping on his bandwagon because they want to be a part of something massive. Your vision for your business needs to be that massive. Because if it's not, guess what? How do you expect someone to be like, oh, you want to be a CPR instructor in Loganville, Georgia? I grew up in Loganville, Georgia. That's why I'm pulling it out of the hat. Loganville,
someone just
Georgia.
Got really insulted.
I hope not. But that was where I grew up. And it's like, okay, that's great. But imagine if that was the first step of your vision. Imagine if instead of just a city, it's now the county. It's now the state. It's now like the Southeast. It's now national, international. I mean, that's what I'm talking about by thinking bigger. And imagine,
it's okay, go ahead.
I don't want to lose what happened last week. But imagine, for that person who's like, oh, I will never sell products. I only do services. Imagine being able, when someone says, Kirk, where can I get that defibrillator that you just taught me how to use? Where can I get it? Imagine being able to say, hey, just go to my website, rescuesiteservices.com, hit the store tab, choose whatever option you want. If you need help, the Zolt AED Plus is the one I personally have in my home. And let me tell you why. And if there's a price point objection, if there's a feature objection, if there is whatever kind of objection or complaint comes up, you're able to hit it because now you've also had product knowledge. Because how can you be a CPR instructor teaching someone how to use a defibrillator and not, show them how to get one for their home, for their office, for their community? Beth, were you about to say something, or you just want to jump on the next question?
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump on the next question. So our third one is our core focus. So is the core focus clear, and we keep our people, systems, and processes aligned and focused on it?
Now, and just to clarify, I think core focus is a trademarked term by EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, Gina Wickman's platform. I want to say that is referring to the mission. All right. That's kind of the interchangeable, but everyone's got to have their own little word for it, right? What is the mission? A core focus, whatever, right? Number 4, our 10-year target. Big, long range business goal is clear, communicated regularly, and is shared by all.
I would say the most important part of that is communicate regularly.
Yeah.
Because most people might have once figured out a 10-year target, but how often did you talk about it after that?
Right.
Even just to yourself.
Yeah. I'm literally writing my goals down on the daily. First thing I do when I wake up, last thing I do before I go to sleep, I write down as if I've already accomplished them, by the way. Full out sentences. I am, I have, I will, all these things, right?
And if you follow people like Damon John,
Yeah, what did he say?
Damon John, he
think I saw
does
him
the
post
same
something.
thing.
Yeah.
He just talked about that the other night. He was like, I read my goals.
Yep. Read
every
your
single
goals
night
every
before
night
bed.
before you go to sleep, and then read them again when you wake up.
Mhm.
That is literally what he posted on Instagram. Follow him.
Yeah.
He's a smart dude.
And they'll share tidbits like that of what they do. And it may seem inconsequential, but that kind of stuff makes a bigger impact than you would expect.
Yeah, like successful people leave breadcrumbs. They do. I mean, it is impossible to be successful and not have a little bit of your strategy kind of leak out of how you did it.
They also tend to be very generous people.
Yeah,
with
100%.
sharing and their time if they see that someone truly desires to better themselves.
And that's the key part right there, is if they don't see that you're working and hustling. And like some of the people that I've had guests on our show literally was like, hey, the only reason I'm coming on is because I'm willing to help someone like you hustling to get, break out of obscurity, which is every business owner's number one problem is obscurity. People don't know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and it's up to you to tell your story on a daily basis, multiple times a day. How are you telling your story? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. How many people did I connect with today? Because connections lead to deals and to transactions, and it is so important. Like if all your conversations, or if you just like, man, I just want a $1.5 million business because I want to have 3 employees and I want to be able to have 30% profitability, and like all that want is great, but want without action. What was that? What was the? Here it is. Vision without execution is a hallucination.
Or you could say a dream.
A dream.
Make it sound prettier.
Sure, I don't know. Whatever.
But it is like many people have. There's another. I'm not like thinking about so many quotes tonight. Something about to the extent of the most dreams are in the graveyard.
In the grave. That's right.
That's literally they go and they turn into nothing, and so they simply stay there with the person and then they die.
Yeah, 100%. Rodney, I'm not sure what your what is that?
Link.
Is that a link? I don't even know what that is. What your comment is, but if you want to add a little bit extra clarity there, we love to answer a question that you have there. First of all, thank you for joining us tonight. And everyone who's in the chat, Michael Glover, looking good, y'all. And I should put that up, man. Look at that. Malcolm Smith. Hey, if you are listening to us right now, do me a huge favor and hit that share button, because I guarantee someone in your network needs to hear what we're talking about tonight. Question number 5, our target market. Definition of our ideal customer. So this is like a persona, is clear. Okay. And all of our marketing and sales efforts are focused on that specific persona. And so often, I see people do this all the time. Oh, I paid for a list of people and I did an email blast. by the way, you can get in trouble for that. There's definitely rules
careful.
about that, so be careful. It's like, I paid for this list, I sent it out, I got a few people respond back, and they were all out of office response. But like, all that to say is, that's great. If you're putting money into marketing, first of all, you're going to waste money on marketing. It's just going to happen. But the money that you waste on marketing needs to be targeted to a very specific audience. And if it's a very general email sent out to thousands of people, that's not specific. I guarantee you get a huge response if you were to do an individual. Imagine if you did a video of yourself saying, "Hey, this is Kirk with Rescue Site. The reason for the email today," and this is an email, by the way. The reason for the email today is I want to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. The way we're doing that is by, putting defibrillators in offices just like yours, and then give information of, next steps.
The more personalized it is, the more likely they are to respond.
Yeah.
Even if it's a no, they'll
use
be like,
their name.
That was great.
Use their name.
Whether you're following up via email or calling or text messages, like videos, you can do voice messages.
Yep.
I would definitely keep this short if you're going to do those. No one wants to listen to a 5-minute voice message.
But guess what? Definitely keep them short, like under a minute.
Yeah.
But people listen to voice messages way more than read a text and respond. People do the same, even more so with video. Because they're like, wow, someone just sent me a video. What in the world?
It's not
I'm curious. What in the world they just said to me?
Yeah.
And so they're just out of FOMO, fear of missing out. They're going to click the play button.
And just remember, it's going to take multiple hits. Like you follow up with them in different ways and get creative about it.
Only 2% of the people that you talk to on a first time basis will close.
Yeah.
2%.
It's low.
80% of sales happen between the 8th and 12th follow-up. Those are facts. Those are numbers that have been proven. And if you are not following up once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, guess what? You are missing out on 80% of your sales, of your sale potential. And so I would highly encourage every single person to not stop with that first contact.
And I'd argue that it's a lot of wasted effort too.
Oh, 100%.
It's like,
if you make a call, make 12.
I mean, think of it this way. It's like starting, and maybe this is a bad analogy, I don't know, it seems good. It's like starting to bake some cupcakes and throwing in one ingredient and going, man, why does this not taste right?
Ooh.
Yeah, I thought that was a good analogy potentially. Whereas if you follow it up with another ingredient and another ingredient and another ingredient, and then you nurture that in the oven.
That's a great analogy.
By keeping that connection there.
That is a great analogy.
Then guess what? At the end, it tastes great, and you both are happy.
And the reason why it's such a great analogy is because she used the word ingredients. And what I want to make that correlation in your brain is that calling is one ingredient.
Yeah.
A video message is another ingredient. A text message, a personal visit, a handwritten note. These are all ingredients to your follow-up campaign.
And
I hope you're taking those.
I'll go even farther with this.
Powerful.
You wouldn't expect, if I told you I was making cupcakes and then I handed you some baking powder in a container, you'd be like, you're not done yet.
Right.
You did a tiny bit of the work.
Oh,
and that's exactly,
that's good.
I mean, it's the exact same thing when you send a potential customer one contact and then you do nothing else. You've not done all the work. And
they
so
don't
of
have
course
enough
nothing's
information
gonna come from it
to make a decision. Just like your brownie that you're making doesn't have enough ingredients to become a brownie. Or I like brownies. We're filling the break for whatever you're baking today. You need to be able to define your 3 uniques. And again, that's a trademark term. So I want to give credit where credit's due. That is Gina Wickman, EOS. So your differentiators. What are your 3 differentiators? Are they clear? And all of our marketing and sales efforts communicate them. When you're telling a story of who you are, what you do, why you do it, that's how you break out of obscurity. You're doing it on video. You're doing on posts. You're doing it on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all, TikTok, like all the things. All right. The more you can break out of obscurity. And by the way, something that works on Instagram is not going to work on Facebook. Something on Facebook is definitely not going to work on TikTok. And don't even try to put a TikTok on LinkedIn. Okay. So, like, you got to respect the platform.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk talks about that all the time. It's like, respect the platform, because if you know what people are looking for on TikTok, you can tailor. Like, I'm not going to do a silly dance on LinkedIn, but I might do it on TikTok, right? And so, like, you just figure out what things are hitting on those particular platforms. Watch the reels, watch the things that are popular, and then you can do it too. And guess what? Things will hit. And it's not like, oh, you're going to be the next thing, right? I mean, it takes consistent actions over time, and that's when monumental change happens. Incremental actions lead to monumental change. And I think I might have butchered that, but I think I heard Ken Jocelyn say something along those lines. Incremental, things that you're doing add up to monumental, thing, which is great. I love that, the wordplay there. We have a proven process for doing business with our customers. It has been named and visually illustrated, and all of our salespeople use it. This is so powerful, because when you're able to have a sales process, a business process, all these processes, right, where people can actually visually see, oh, when I transact with a rescue site services, I should expect X, Y, and Z in this particular order in this particular time frame. And if you're able to publish your process, that leaves out the guesswork for your potential clients and your prospects, because now they know it's a published process. They know, like, people that hide prices. I mean, I think that's that's very poor in taste. Even if you're consulting, right? I would say I would give a range.
Yeah, you should always be able to give like like estimation, if nothing else.
Because guess what? How could they possibly make sense of the value proposition if you don't tell them price up front? Because if you spend a whole hour, 2 hours, I mean, I've seen some long presentations where all they do is talk, and they don't ask a single question, and they don't involve their audience at all. And by the end of it, they're like, and it's gonna be $2 million, and they're like, we have a $200,000 budget. You could have just started with that, and we would have been like, thanks, but no thanks.
Or you could have found them a different product.
Right. And that's the thing. When you ask questions, the quality of your questions determine the quality of your result. And when you ask quality questions that lead down a track, you don't just ask a question to ask a question. You ask a question with a purpose. And what is that purpose? Well, if I say this, then I'm going to hear back this type of response. And if I hear this, that's a red flag. If I hear this, that's a red flag. If I hear this, oh, that's kind of what we wanted to hear. And so you're able to, like, based off the quality of your questions, determine your results. And so whether, like, people who don't answer questions, like, I mean, when you're asking questions and when questions are being answered, whoever's asking the questions controls the conversation. And if you're not able to answer the questions, guess what? That probably forced that person to come to terms with their motivations, internal, external, whatever the case may be. And so it's so powerful that when you ask good quality questions, you're going to get an answer, whether they actually answer you or not, because by them not answering you is an answer, by the way.
Well, and you can
it tells you a lot more about that person's character.
You should never just move forward if they haven't answered a question, because then at that point they're the one completely controlling the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's important that there be mutual respect between both parties and that both parties are answering questions. And so if someone you say, what is your company's revenue? And they're like, oh, I don't know exactly. I don't know what
Or
the number
I
is.
don't think that's any of your business. Or I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Guess what? One of our core values is transparency.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to feel comfortable doing business with you if you don't feel comfortable talking business with me.
Yeah.
Because the IRA knows you trust them better, like more than you trust, someone who's trying to help you grow your business.
Mhm.
Like you let them know all your personal things.
Well, that kind of information
It's
shouldn't
public.
be a secret.
Maybe it's not public, but like
Yeah.
it's the IRS knows. Like that's the government. So technically, that's about as public as it gets.
Well, and you shouldn't be ashamed of where you are.
Right.
I mean, if it's
Because
a smaller
everyone's
number,
been there.
then you have a starting point to jump off of, and if it's a bigger number, well, then congratulations.
Yeah. 100%. Because if you're not willing to like what gets measured gets accomplished, and if you're not measuring where you are currently, how can you possibly know where you want to be and how to get there? Because you got to be able to reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
And knowing where you are currently is a sobering thing sometimes. And then you're like, man, I only did, $100,000 this year. Wow.
Well, and if you're not willing to say it out loud, there's a problem with that, because anything that you're not willing to directly confront as a business owner is a bigger issue than just something that needs to be fixed that you're willing to talk about.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So you got the proven process. All of the people in our organization are the right people. They fit our culture and share our core values. Oh my gosh.
It's huge.
Not having people. So 2/3 of people, employees, are disengaged.
Mhm.
Okay. This is such an important, thing here. 2/3 are disengaged. 1/3, so half of the 2/3, are actively disengaged. What does that mean? That means that there are people in your organization that are actively undermining the success of your business. That is what actively disengaged means. Disengaged, regularly disengaged people are this people are this like punching a time clock. They don't really care. They're this kind of there. That was the person I was describing earlier. Beth was like, "Man, you're so morbid," but that's what a disengaged person is. And to pretend those people don't exist is not good either, because they do.
Mhm.
It is a known fact. Do your research online. You can see this. 2/3 of employees in the US are actively or are disengaged, and 1/3 are actively disengaged. That means
And
only
you can
1/3 are engaged.
see it. Like,
Oh, 100%.
you've all seen the
100%.
people at the grocery store, at a restaurant, at a whatever, that are like, "Is that it? Is that it? Okay." Like, they're
Right.
just not. They're
And
they're
you've
there, but
seen
that's
that
it.
person who went over and beyond the call of duty that made your experience incredible.
And usually, it's less effort to do that than to be as unhappy as a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So,
And like, by the way, that's the person I strive to be on a daily basis. That's the person who gets job offers
mhm.
because they're producing and they're going above and beyond. That's the type of employee everyone wants. One of my KPIs: how many job offers did I get today, this week, this month? That is a KPI. That is a key performance indicator for me, because if I'm not getting job offers, that means rescue site services is not at a point, or not producing, or not rocking the industry enough to get other people's attention, to be like, man, we need Kirk on our team. That's the kind of KPIs you want to be set up with. Everyone is in the right seat. They get it, want it, and have the capacity to do their jobs well. Those three things are very important. They get it, so they get it, meaning they have the knowledge. They want it, means they have the desire, and then they have the capacity to do it. They have the ability to perform. And then the last question I'm gonna, I got a whole nother sheet. We'll probably just introduce this next week. Is our leadership team is open and honest and demonstrates a high level of trust. Trust takes a lifetime to earn and a split second to lose. And it is. I mean, I'm sure you've heard some type of that phrase. I'm sure there's pretty ways to, iterate that exact phrase in a more beautiful, sense. But you get the point. Like it takes a lifetime for you to, whether it's you personally, with your family, with your community, with your industry as a business owner, it takes a lifetime to build that reputation, that trust. And it takes 1 second to completely destroy it. I had a situation recently where we had to make a decision on a refund. I was like, my goodness. I went through my core values and I realized, hey, I do not want money to ever get between me and a relationship. I was like, send me an invoice. I paid that within literally like an hour. I think it was like a couple hours of them sending me an invoice, because I was like, look, this sucks that I'm not going to be able to, make as much as I was planning to make on this particular deal. But guess what? I'm going to be doing more business with this, person, this other company, because of how I professionally handled the situation.
And it's not just a business relationship. It's a relationship with a person.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like, I just want to encourage everyone on this call that don't ever let money get between you and a relationship. And it doesn't matter what, like, whoever's on the other end, it's a person. Okay. It is a person first and foremost. And if you can imagine how you would like to be treated if you were on the other side of the situation, what would you need to do in order to make them feel like, my goodness, Kirk at Rescue Site Services, that guy is extremely trustworthy. He's very professional, and I don't want to do business with anyone else but Kirk at Rescue Site Services. That's the kind of, trust and character and everything that you want to instill in your marketplace, whether you're in Loganville, Georgia, or you're working an international business. People need to know you, your character, for those types of things. And trust can be lost so quickly. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to leave you with that. This has been another episode of Rescue Owners Live, Season 2, Episode 2. I love how we did that, by the way. I think it's kind of cool to have seasons. I don't know. I'm a big movie buff and TV show buff. And so TV shows, whatever. I watch them all. So I hope to see you next week. Make sure to bring a friend. Make sure to share. We like all this content even after we're done here tonight, because we want as many people in your network to be able to hear the content that we talked about here tonight, because I guarantee you something that we said tonight is going to help someone in your network, if not you, grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal and professional goals. Until next Tuesday, be great.
As a CPR instructor, you probably get asked how and where to buy equipment like defibrillators and first aid kits. Up to now, you've probably either shrugged off the question or told them to Google it. Don't miss opportunities like that. Instead, be the one to not only provide the knowledge of how to save a life, but also the resources to be ready to rescue. It's time to become a Rescue Site affiliate, and it's incredibly easy to do. Introducing the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, the only customizable platform with every FDA-approved defibrillator on the market, first aid equipment, and so much more. Now with the Rescue Site Affiliate Program, you can recommend products and earn commissions without having to purchase, warehouse, or ship products. When you become a Rescue Site affiliate today, you are automatically approved and will receive a customizable link to your store with your name on it. You earn commissions from all qualifying purchases through the traffic you drive to your new store. Whether you're just getting started as a CPR instructor, whether you have a team of instructors, or whether you're a training center with thousands of instructors across the country, this program is for you. Stop shrugging and start providing both the knowledge and the resources to save more lives. Become a Rescue Site affiliate today.